As night began to fall, Lucas received an anonymous message on his phone, words hinting at a conspiracy deeper than he could have ever imagined. The pronouncement hung there, ready to change everything once again. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the air. A market stall tipped over, sending fruits and vegetables rolling across the street. The laughter faded, replaced by nervous murmurs and quick glances. People scattered, searching for safety, but Lucas couldn't move. He felt the panic wash over him, a surge of adrenaline igniting his senses. "Mia!" he yelled, scanning the chaos. His heart raced. The world had twisted upside down, shaking him to his core. Where was she? Just then, a woman's scream pierced through the din. It came from the shadows behind him. He turned, and time slowed. There, on the ground, he saw Mia, her eyes wide with fear. She was backing away from someone obscured in the darkness. "Get away from her," Lucas shouted, instinctively stepping forward. Anger burned within him, roaring louder than his heart. But as the figure stepped into the light, his breath caught. It was a man Lucas recognized all too well, Javier, a former business partner. A shadow of a smile twisted on Javier's lips, the kind that wrapped around unease like a snake. "Lucas, so good to see you again," he said, a sly edge to his voice. "I hear you've made new friends. How quaint." "What do you want?" Lucas demanded, feeling a lump rise in his throat. "Nothing much, just a little reunion. I thought you'd want to see how easily life can turn." He gestured towards Mia, and Lucas felt his chest tighten. In that moment, everything crashed down. Mia wasn't just a girl he had stumbled upon in the market. She was a pawn in a game bigger than he had ever imagined. A connection to his past left him paralyzed, realizing that Javier might have used Mia's family to reel him back in. "Mia, stay back," Lucas said, inching closer. His instincts screamed at him to protect her, to shield her from this treachery. But then a sudden realization slammed into him like a punch. The anonymous message, the lines, the hints of a setup. Panic fluttered in his chest, growing more frantic. Could Javier have been behind it all? Mia's face turned pale. "Lucas, you know him?" she stammered, eyes bouncing between them. "More than you think," Lucas replied, desperation rising in his voice. "He's dangerous." "Dangerous?" Javier chuckled mockingly. "You're the one who threw it all away, Lucas. I'm just here to play the game." With a swift motion, he pulled something from his pocket, a small metallic object glinting under the dim streetlights. The crowd gasped, voices murmuring in shock. "Stay right where you are," he commanded, raising the object high. Lucas's heart sank. It was a gun. Time froze. The laughter, the market, the colors of the city dimmed into a void. Mia's face went white, every detail around them fading into sharp focus. The pulsating fear, the weight of regret, his past brooding like a storm cloud above them. "Mia, run!" Lucas yelled. But she stood frozen, terror etched across her face. "Just give up, Lucas," Javier sneered. "You don't have the strength to fight anymore." You lost it all. But it sparked something in Lucas, a fire ignited within him. He wasn't going down without a fight, at least not again. As adrenaline coursed through his veins, he realized this was the defining moment he had feared. Would he let the darkness swallow him whole again? Then, just as he braced himself to act, he felt something, a subtle vibration in his pocket. Another message. With shaking hands, he glanced at his phone, heart thudding in his chest. It was from an unknown number, but the words shocked him into stillness. "They know everything. They're coming for you." Lucas's blood ran cold, even as his thoughts raced. What did that mean? Who was coming? And how had everything spiraled into a whirlwind of danger and betrayal? In the midst of chaos, the stakes had risen higher than he ever imagined. and he was standing on the precipice of a shocking revelation that could shatter everything he thought he knew. What had he gotten himself into this time? Lucas's heart raced as he stood utterly frozen, grappling with the chaos surrounding him. The gun, Javier's triumphant gesture, glinted menacingly under the streetlights. There was no retreating now. His past had come crashing into his present, and the stakes had never been higher. "Mia, run!" he shouted again, desperate to break her trance, but her eyes were glued to Lucas, wide and shimmering with terror. The crowd was closing in around them, whispers and gasps swirling like a dangerous storm. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, cutting through the tension like a knife. A tall woman with striking features and an air of authority stepped forward. Lucas. The last he heard, she had distanced herself from him after the scandal. What was she doing here? "Javier, put the gun down," she commanded, her voice steady, though the panic in her eyes betrayed her. "You don't want to escalate this." "Valeria," Javier replied, his smile growing perilous. "Still playing the savior, I see. This is between me and him." "Not anymore," Valeria shot back, glancing nervously at Lucas. "Everyone here deserves to know the truth about you." A ripple of curiosity swept through the gathered crowd. Lucas felt his stomach drop. What truth? The past was a gnawing beast in his gut, but he buried it, convinced he could start anew. Now it was crawling back to reveal itself, raw and pulsing. "Truth?" Javier echoed with mock enthusiasm. "Well, let's entertain this idea, shall we?" Before Lucas could respond, Valeria stepped closer, her voice low and urgent. "Lucas, you remember that night? The last business proposal we worked on together." The memory hit him like a freight train. The whispered meetings, the shady deals. They had promised so much return. Yet it had all unraveled, a tangled web of deception that ensnared everyone. I thought we were just trying to make things work," Lucas stammered. "No, Lucas." Valeria's accusations sliced through the air. "You orchestrated everything. You set me up to take the fall. You wanted the power, the control." Gasps surged through the crowd. Lucas felt the world ripple beneath him. "No, that's not true. I didn't. Silence," shouted Javier, waving the gun. "You think anyone believes you now? You were the puppet master in this game, and you've dragged Mia into it." Mia's expression twisted into confusion and fear, darting between the three of them. "What are you talking about?" Before Lucas could break the dreadful spiral, a figure burst through the crowd, fierce and determined. It was Mia's mother, her eyes ablaze with fury. "What did you do to my daughter?" "Mama!" Mia shrieked, fear lighting up her voice. "Mia, stay back!" Lucas yelled, but it was too late. The moment was spiraling out of their control. He had moved mountains to keep her away from danger, yet here it was, right before him. "Mia, listen to me," Lucas pleaded, panic tightening his throat. "I never meant for this to happen." But as he looked into her eyes, a dawning realization twisted inside him. The chaos of the past was weaving closer. Valeria with her secrets, Javier with his treachery, and Mia, an innocent thread caught up in a tangled web. And then, without warning, a deafening noise broke through. A police siren, blaring louder and louder, echoed through the streets, cutting through the tension like a knife. Suddenly, everything froze. People turned, faces shifting from shock to fear. "Run!" Valeria shouted, her authoritative tone shattering the moment's stillness. "We all need to get out of here. Now." Panic rippled through the crowd as people began to disperse, but Lucas's heart anchored him to that spot. His mind raced. Everything, every betrayal, every decision teetered on the edge of a precipice. He could lose Mia, lose everything, all over again. As the sirens grew closer, he watched Mia's face transform from terror to determination. She turned to him, eyes fierce. "You have to tell me the truth." But before Lucas could respond, another gunshot rang out, shattering the night. The world tilted violently, and Lucas felt the ground slip from beneath him. "Lucas," Mia cried, panic flooding her voice as shadows enveloped them. In that moment, one question loomed larger than anything else. Whose side was Mia truly on, and what had they all really set in motion? As the echoes of the gunshot faded, Lucas's heart raced and his breath hitched in his throat. Panic surged, turning the world into a chaotic blur. The earlier laughter of the market twisted into fearful cries, fingers pointed, eyes darting. Nothing in his life could have prepared him for this moment. "Mia, get down!" he shouted, instinctively stepping in front of her. He couldn't let her get hurt. Not like this. But even as he positioned himself, a thunderous silence descended. For one brief, chilling second, everything hung still. His heart, her fear, even the gathered crowd seemed frozen in time. Then, just as suddenly, an eerie calm enveloped them. Lucas felt something shift within him, a cold realization dawning. The gun wasn't just about intimidation. It was dragging up his past and tossing it right back in his face. "Mia," his voice barely cut through the lingering fear. "You have to trust me. We need to get out of here." But then it happened. A flicker of movement at the edge of his vision. Another figure emerged from the darkness, sharp and purposeful. Lucas gasped. It was not just Mia's mother who charged forward, but beside her was someone else, someone he never expected to see. "Stop!" shouted Sophia, Lucas's estranged sister. Her voice rang through the chaos, slicing the tension like glass. "Everyone stop!" Lucas stood dumbfounded, staring at her face he hadn't seen in years. The years of hurt, betrayal, and spinning lies rushed back. "Sophia!" Their childhood laughter twisted into painful echoes of a life he wished he could forget. The table had turned, and now she was here, trying to save him or expose him. "Mia, I can explain," he blurted out, racing to where Mia stood paralyzed. "You don't know everything. Everything is happening right in front of my eyes," she yelled back, fire igniting in her voice. "You're not who I thought you were. You all aren't." Javier's head snapped towards Sophia. "You're ruining this. Run, Lucas. Leave her." But Lucas felt trapped, like a moth caught in a flame. The urgent sirens grew louder, weaving through the night, binding everyone tighter in a web of fear. He wanted to protect Mia, but he needed to understand what Sophia meant. "Lucas, please," Sophia urged, stepping closer, her face framed by the streetlights, betraying a deep-seated fear. "They want to erase all evidence of what you know. It's not just about your past. It's about what they're planning next." "Planning what?" Lucas barked, confusion and rage twisting in him. But before she could answer, a figure behind Sophia revealed itself. A man in dark clothing, face obscured by a mask, emerged from the shadows. He had a cold steel look in his eye, and quickly raised a device high, like a bomb ready to explode. The air hummed with an oppressive tension. "Stand down!" the masked man shouted, and Lucas's stomach fell as the crowd surged back in terrified whispers. In that moment, as chaos reigned, and the line between friend and foe blurred with unbearable speed, all Lucas could think was, how deep did this go? What was Sophia hiding? And who was this masked man? Everything he had known was about to unravel like a frayed string. "A pawn?" Mia's voice trembled. "Lucas, are we all just pawns in their game?" With every heartbeat echoing in his ears, Lucas faced a truth he never expected. The game was only just beginning. As the echoes of the gunshot faded, Lucas's heart raced and his breath hitched in his throat. Panic surged, turning the world into a chaotic blur. The earlier laughter of the market twisted into fearful cries, fingers pointed, eyes darting. Nothing in his life could have prepared him for this moment. "Mia, get down," he shouted, instinctively stepping in front of her. He couldn't let her get hurt. Not like this. But even as he positioned himself, a thunderous silence descended. For one brief, chilling second, everything hung still. His heart, her fear, even the gathered crowd seemed frozen in time. Then, just as suddenly, an eerie calm enveloped them. Lucas felt something shift within him, a cold realization dawning. The gun wasn't just about intimidation. It was dragging up his past and tossing it right back in his face. "Mia," his voice barely cut through the lingering fear. "You have to trust me. We need to get out of here." But then it happened. A flicker of movement at the edge of his vision. Another figure emerged from the darkness, sharp and purposeful. Lucas gasped. It was not just Mia's mother who charged forward, but beside her was someone else, someone he never expected to see. "Stop!" shouted Sophia, Lucas's estranged sister. Her voice rang through the chaos, slicing the tension like glass. "Everyone stop!" Lucas stood dumbfounded, staring at her face he hadn't seen in years. The years of hurt, betrayal, and spinning lies rushed back. "Sophia? What are you doing here?" Shock coursed through him. Was his past really this tangled? "Javier's not what you think," she said, moving forward with a strength he hadn't anticipated. "He's part of something bigger, something dangerous. You were a pawn in a game, Lucas, and it's time you realized it." His heart sank as memories flooded back, betrayal mixed with the unconditional love of a sister. Their childhood laughter twisted into painful echoes of a life he wished he could forget. The table had turned, and now she was here, trying to save him or expose him. "Mia, I can explain," he blurted out, racing to where Mia stood paralyzed. "You don't know everything. Everything is happening right in front of my eyes," she yelled back, fire igniting in her voice. "You're not who I thought you were. You all aren't." Javier's head snapped towards Sophia. "You're ruining this. Run, Lucas. Leave her." But Lucas felt trapped, like a moth caught in a flame. The urgent sirens grew louder, weaving through the night, binding everyone tighter in a web of fear. He wanted to protect Mia, but he needed to understand what Sophia meant. "Planning what?" Lucas barked, confusion and rage twisting in him. But before she could answer, a figure behind Sophia revealed itself. A man in dark clothing, face obscured by a mask, emerged from the shadows. He had a cold steel look in his eye and quickly raised a device high, like a bomb ready to explode. The air hummed with oppressive tension. "Stand down!" the masked man shouted, and Lucas's stomach fell as the crowd surged back in terrified whispers. In that moment, as chaos reigned and the line between friend and foe blurred with unbearable speed, all Lucas could think was, how deep did this go? What was Sophia hiding, and who was this masked man? Everything he had known was about to unravel like a frayed string. Suddenly, a soft click echoed through the air, and a flash of light erupted from the mask-wearing figure. Lucas squinted, confused but unable to look away. The next moment felt surreal. A shimmering projection flickered into life in front of them. Images cascaded through the air, meetings, deal-making, whispers of betrayal. Lucas felt the weight of each moment bearing down on him, faces he recalled. This wasn't just a montage, it was a confession. "Mia, wait," Lucas cried, but her eyes were glued to the unfolding scene, a mix of shock and betrayal painting her features. "Y tú, Lucas," she breathed, trembling. "¿Qué has hecho?" The masked man suddenly dropped the device, his eyes glimmering behind the mask. "Now you see the truth," he hissed, weaving through the chaos. "All of you are part of a larger game, but only some will survive." As the harsh reality crashed around them, Lucas's heart sank. What future awaited them now? Questions surged in his mind. Whose side was he truly on? And how far would he have to go to save what little was left? As the harsh reality crashed around them, Lucas's heart sank. Still locked in Mia's gaze, he could see the threads of trust unraveling, each minute revealing a jagged piece of their shared narrative. The truth laid before them like an open wound, raw and pulsating. But before he could grapple despair and desperation, the masked figure took a single step forward, eyes gleaming with sinister purpose. "Now you see the truth," he hissed again, voice coated with menace. "All of you are part of a larger game, but only some will survive." He gestured toward the glowing projection, images swirling with memories long buried, faces of people Lucas had trusted, friends now twisted into enemies. The room swirled with murmurs of disbelief, shock, painting the features of bystanders as they realized they were witnessing a live confession. "Mia, please," Lucas started, but was cut off by an ominous rumble. "Tell them, Sophia," he spat venomously. "Tell them who's really been pulling the strings." Sophia reached for Lucas, desperation in her eyes. "I've been watching you, Lucas, all along." Her voice trembled, but held an urgency that wrapped around Lucas's chest like a vice. "Who's been watching us?" he demanded, a panic rising in his throat. The truth felt slippery, just out of reach. Suddenly, the masked figure raised a hand in a dramatic flourish. "What if I told you?" he began, then hesitated. An unsettling grin spread across his lips. "What if I told you that everything you think you know is a fabrication?" Confusion washed over Lucas, and he stiffened. "What the hell are you talking about?" Then came the shocking twist. The masked man reached up and pulled down his mask. Lucas's breath caught. It was Javier, but something was different. His eyes, his expression, it was like staring into a reflection he barely recognized. "Lucas," Javier said with a twisted smile, "you should have seen this coming. Didn't you wonder why your sister was here? The web's always been tangled, but the center of it is you." "What?" Lucas's voice faltered. The assertions, the insane trust factor, layer upon layer of betrayal unfurling right before his eyes. "Mia," Javier turned suddenly, sharp eyes boring into her terrified gaze. "You weren't just a pawn. Oh no, you were the queen in our little game. Your father trusted me with everything. And you, Lucas," he glared at him, "you've been nothing but a liability." The crowd shifted uneasily, a crumbling realization dawning on faces like a storm cloud overhead. Shook his head, trying to piece it all together. "No, that can't be right," he stammered. "You're lying." Javier laughed, a cruel, hollow sound. "Lying? You've built your empire on lies, Lucas. Think about everything you thought you lost. You were never broken. You were always meant to play this role." Everything came crashing down around Lucas as terror gripped him. "You're insane." Mia's hands trembled alongside Lucas's, each shard of truth feeling like a knife cutting deeper into the fabric of their connection. "What are you saying, Javier?" she demanded, her voice quaking, etched with an uncertainty that mirrored Lucas's turmoil. "Just watch," Javier said, leaning into the crowd. "The moment you feel secure is when the rug gets pulled from under you. Remember, we are all players in this game, and only one can emerge victorious." He suddenly drew a second device from his pocket, a remote. Lucas's stomach dropped, visions racing through his mind. What did it mean? And then came the deafening sound of an explosion in the distance. The world seemed to shudder, and everything went dark. The crowd gasped collectively, eyes wide with horror. In that moment, as chaos surged anew, a thought gripped Lucas. What if everything he believed about loyalty, love, and family had just evaporated into smoke? Sophia reached for him, her eyes filled with a haunting plea. "Trust me, you need to understand." But the truth felt like quicksand, and as panic set into each soul surrounding him, Lucas took a step back as uncertainty cloaked him. Whose side was he truly on? And with a reality unraveling rapidly, was the game even real? Or was it all a mirage to trap them? "Lucas!" Mia shouted, eyes glistening with tears, confusion and fear painted across her face. "Please tell me the truth." And as the ground shook beneath them, all Lucas could think was anyone who they claimed to be? As the ground shook beneath them, Lucas felt that everything was spiraling out of control. Sirens blared in the distance, a reminder of the chaos that was threatening to consume them. Mia's terrified gaze pierced him, demanding answers. "Please, tell me the truth." But before he could speak, the air thickened with tension, as if the universe were holding its breath. Suddenly, Javier smirked, reveling in their despair. "You think this is a game?" he taunted. "You're all caught in a web of lies and you don't even know who's pulling the strings." And then, just like that, everything changed. A loud crack echoed, and the projection flickered out. The masked figure froze, looking toward the source of the noise. What was that? He hissed, his confidence suddenly wavering. Before anyone could react, the ground under them trembled again. But this time, it wasn't just fear. It was something real, something tangible. A second explosion erupted from somewhere nearby. Dust and debris rained down from the buildings as people screamed and scrambled to get away. "Mia!" Lucas shouted, grabbing her hand, pulling her close. "We need to move." But before they could flee, a massive cloud of smoke swept over the street like a dark curtain. Lucas coughed, the acrid taste stinging his throat. He shielded Mia, but in the confusion he lost sight of her. Voices echoed in panic. Shadows danced in the haze. "Mama!" Mia's voice broke through the chaos. Panic surged within him. "Mia!" he yelled, the name tearing from his lips. He fumbled through the disarray, panic shooting through him like a jolt of electricity. But then something caught his eye. The masked figure was grappling with someone else, tugging at their sleeve. In the chaos, Lucas squinted, recognizing the silhouette. It was Sophia. "What are you doing?" he yelled, but she seemed to be struggling, trying to get away from the grip of the masked man. Before Lucas could reconcile what was happening, a sharp gasp escaped Sophia's lips. "Lucas, you have to listen to me." Her voice trembled, barely rising above the noise. "It's not what you think. I'm not who you think I am." "What?" Lucas's heart sank, confusion washing over him. "What do you mean?" But then, in an instant, a blinding light exploded from the masked figure's device, an intense flash that illuminated everything around them in stark clarity. The brightness seemed to dissolve the shadows, illuminating faces, unveiling threats, exposing secrets. In that moment, Lucas's eyes widened. The face of the masked man morphed into someone familiar, yet utterly transformed. As the light dimmed, he could see it clearly. It was his father. "Appa!" Lucas gasped, disbelief coursing through him. The warmth he had longed for, the man he thought vanished beneath the weight of lies and betrayal, stood before him, shrouded in mystery and power. Their eyes locked, and the world around them fell silent. "You think I abandoned you, Lucas?" His father's voice echoed, filled with layers of pain and purpose. "I left to protect you. This was never just business. It's been a war." Lucas felt dizzy, grappling with the revelation. The anguish of years pooled inside him, and the question vibrated in his mind. Who could he trust now? "What do you mean?" Lucas's voice trembled, the truth tearing at his heart. "You've been pulling strings this whole time?" "Yes," his father snapped, desperation in his eyes. "But there are bigger threats at play, threats that could destroy everything, even your friendship with Mia." From behind him, he felt Mia's hand squeeze his arm, a silent question of faith. Would he believe in the man who had caused so much suffering? Or had he just stepped into a more ominous trap? "Lucas," his father continued, urgency infusing his voice, "you're our last hope to stop them. Everything is connected, and we need to act fast. But as Lucas stared into his father's eyes, a new weight settled in his chest, and another loud bang echoed in the distance. What did it all mean? Who really had the power now? In that instant, everything tilted again, and Lucas was left teetering on the edge of revelation and chaos, desperate for the truth, even as it threatened to undo everything he thought he understood. What side was he truly on? And who could he trust when the dust finally settled? As Lucas stared into his father's eyes, disbelief tightened around him like a noose. The chaos of the market faded into a distant hum, his thoughts swirling. "You've been lying to me? All this time?" His voice cracked, a mix of anger and betrayal coursing through him. "Yes, Lucas, I did what I had to do for your protection." His father's tone was urgent, as if the truth was a flame that needed to be shared quickly before it extinguished. "The world you think you know, every deal, every scandal, it's all a facade. This isn't just business, it's a battle for survival." Behind him, the masked man, Javier, exhaled slowly as if savoring their downfall. "You think your father is here to save you? He's the one who wrote the rules of this game." "Lucas," Sophia shouted, "we need to get out of here. He's just trying to manipulate you." Her voice was filled with panic, hands clutching Lucas's for strength. But as he turned to her, the sky above vibrated. An explosion burst from a nearby building, sending debris crashing around them. People screamed, scattering like birds startled from a tree. Lucas lost sight of Mia in the haze. She was gone. "Mia!" he shouted, his heart racing. The crowd swirled around him, chaos erupting as fear took hold. He could feel the floor shifting beneath him, reality tilting. "We have to move," his father yelled urgently, grabbing Lucas by the arm. "Now!" But as they turned to flee, a hand shot out of the smoke, a black-gloved hand. A figure emerged, tall and imposing, stepping from the shadows as if the smoke had birthed him. The crowd gasped, eyes widening in disbelief. "Put him down," shouted the newcomer, voice deep and resolute. His features were partially obscured, yet Lucas felt a strange sense of recognition. The figure stepped closer, and the crowd parted as if sensing something monumental. "Juan?" Lucas breathed, shocked. This was the last man he ever expected to see. His childhood friend, long thought lost to a life of crime, now stood before him. But just as recognition washed over Lucas, Juan raised his hand. "I'm not here to hurt you. I came to warn you." He shot a glance at Javier. "They're not who you think they are. This is bigger than any of us." Tension crackled in the air. Lucas struggled to process this new revelation. "What are you talking about?" "Your father's been playing both sides," Juan said, voice steady but urgent. "And you, Lucas, you're the key to both their plans. They need you alive, but at what cost?" The weight of that statement hung heavily in the air. Maya's face flashed in Lucas's mind, and he felt the walls of his world closing in on him. "Lucas, think," Sophia called, her voice high-pitched with alarm. "He's right, you don't know who you can trust." Before Lucas could respond, a blinding light erupted from the sky. A helicopter whirred into view, lights cutting through the evening mist. It hovered slowly, a massive shadow eclipsing them all. Lucas stumbled back, shielding his eyes. Javier's posture shifted, a look of fear scrolling across his face for the briefest of moments. "They're here," he hissed, suddenly vulnerable. "Get away from him!" But Juan didn't move. "We have to stay and fight. It's our only chance." He looked at Lucas, determination lighting his eyes. "You need to choose, man. Are you with me, or are you one of them?" Lucas's heart slammed against his ribs, air thick with tension, faces blurred around him. Time stilled, every second stretching into eternity. Racing thoughts crashed together, power playing in the air like thunderclouds ready to burst. Suddenly, an unexpected voice rang out from the crowd. "Mommy!" It was Mia. He spotted her then, eyes wide with confusion and fear, fighting her way toward him through the throng. "Mia!" Lucas yelled, but his voice barely carried over the roar of chaos. His heart soared and then plummeted. It felt as though relief was a fleeting ghost just out of reach. "I need to know the truth," she cried, panic rippling through her words. "What's happening? Who can we trust?" Her plea echoed inside him, pulling at every thread of loyalty, every shred of his heart. But as Lucas opened his mouth to respond, the reality shifted, something clicked, a revelation crystallizing amidst the pandemonium. The helicopter hovered closer, the pilots' faces obscured, yet one flashed a chilling smile, one that felt all too intimate, like a mirror revealing haunting truths. And then it struck him. All this time, it wasn't just about him. It was about them. All of them, intertwined in this deadly game. He saw it now. Lines blurred, shadows lengthened. Everyone had an agenda, everyone but him. As shouts erupted, panic rippling through the crowd, Lucas gripped Mia's hand. "We need to get out. But where do we even go?" And that one question echoed. It reverberated within him even as the smoke thickened, darkness closing in. Who could he really trust now? Which side did he truly fall on? Here, in this pivotal moment. Everything he thought he knew shattered like glass, leaving behind a blank slate painted in uncertainty. As Lucas felt the heat of the chaos around him, his heart raced. All the layers of deception and hidden truths danced in his mind, mixing with the fear radiating from Mia's trembling hands. The market was a swirl of confusion, loud voices blending into a noise that was overwhelming. "We need to get out, but where do we even go?" he murmured, panic creeping into his words. Suddenly, just as Lucas turned toward Mia, a bright flash cut across the air, illuminating the scene like lightning. The crowd gasped, shadows momentarily flickering away. In that blinding moment, everything shifted. Lucas clutched Mia's hand, squinting to see through the glare. When the light faded, the masked figure, now unmistakably Javier, was standing still, frozen as if in a trance. And then, from behind him, emerged another figure, tall and commanding with an air of authority. It was Valeria. "Everyone listen," she shouted, her voice slicing through the panic. "You can't trust him." She pointed at Javier, who seemed to flinch at the accusation. "What do you mean? He's been playing all of us." Lucas felt his heart pound. Was Valeria about to expose something that could unravel this whole mess? But just as he thought it, a sudden realization struck him harder than any fear or shock. Valeria wasn't just a former assistant. She was something more, something deeper. "You work for the syndicate, don't you?" he accused, desperation and realization coiling together. Her face paled, eyes widening. "That's not what you think." She blurted out, a hint of fear creeping into her voice. "I'm trying to protect you." "Protect us?" Mia repeated, the disbelief evident. "Why should we trust a word you say?" The air thickened with tension. Horrors and doubts swirled around them, shadows lengthening. Lucas turned to Juan, who had been watching quietly. "What do we do?" "Trust me." The words were simple but laden with weight. "We need the truth, all of it." Behind them, another explosion sent tremors through the ground. Debris rained down, and screams erupted anew. "Go, we have to move," Lucas shouted, pulling Mia forward. But just then, something unexpected happened. "Aldo!" A voice, sharp and desperate, cut through the din. All eyes turned as a young woman emerged from the smoke, panicked and breathless. "You have to listen to me. They're coming." Lucas squinted through the haze. "Who are you?" "I'm Aldo's sister," she cried, eyes glossy with fear. "He's in danger. You need to know what they're planning." Shock twisted in Lucas's gut. Aldo, a name he hadn't heard in years, associated with the darkest secrets of his past. Yet here was his sister. But how did she even get here? The revelation hit hard, throwing everything sideways. "What do you know?" Lucas pressed, heart racing. "They're not just here for you. They're here for Mia. They think she's the key." Her words hung heavy in the air. "What?" Mia's voice trembled, and Lucas felt her grip tighten. "They believe she knows something critical about the syndicate. Something." But before she could finish, another loud crack echoed, not from an explosion, but from a gunshot, clear and sharp against the chaos. Lucas's stomach dropped as he instinctively reached for Mia. Yet in the moment that followed, everything shifted. The crowd surged, frightened faces clashed. But in the chaos, Lucas noticed Javier lurking back, eyes darting around in sheer panic, revealing a weakness previously hidden. "They're here," he murmured, dread creeping into his tone. In the confusion, another figure broke from the smoke, this one moving fast and stealthily. Lucas's heart sank. It was his father. Mia had been right. He was not just a distant memory, but a player in this deadly game shaping reality. "I've come to protect you all," he shouted, confusion writ large on his face. "We've got to leave now." But in the blur of panic and confusion, all eyes were now glued on Aldo's sister, who looked suddenly pale. "No, you can't trust him," she yelled, pointing at Lucas's father, who stumbled, bewildered as the tension thickened. "He's the one who betrayed you." And in that moment, the world tilted on its axis. Everything Lucas thought he knew shattered into fragments. What was real? Who was truly from his past? And as the chaos enveloped them, one thought clawed at his mind. Was his father the enemy he never saw coming? The air crackled with silent tension. And as Lucas looked around at the faces of those he once trusted, a chilling thought crept in. How deep did the deception run? In that heart-stopping instant, the ground beneath him trembled with uncertainty, leaving only questions hanging in the air. Could he ever claw back the truth, or had it slipped forever through their fingers? As Lucas stared into his father's eyes, anger and confusion folded into a tight ball in his chest. "You're the one behind all this? I can't believe you'd turn your back on me, on us." He scanned the crowd, feeling the weight of every pair of eyes watching. "Mia, I swear," his father pleaded, desperation breaking through the facade. "I did this to protect you, to protect all of us. We're trapped in a world of shadows, and I thought I could shield you from it. But look at what that protection has cost." Mia interjected, her voice trembling with emotion. She stepped closer to Lucas, grounding him as fear twisted in the air. "We can't trust anyone right now." Just then, another explosion erupted nearby, this time shaking the ground and sending debris flying. A wave of panic surged through the crowd, pushing them back. People screamed as they stumbled and struggled to stay upright. The chaos wrapped around Lucas and Mia, but somehow, Juan stepped forward, fists clenched, ready to defend them. "We'll get through this," he shouted above the clamor. "Focus," Lucas yelled, trying to regain control of the chaos. "If we want to survive, we need to know what's really going on." "I'll tell you," Aldo's sister called out, stepping into the fray. "It's bigger than you think, Lucas. There are factions out there who want what Mia holds, the knowledge about the syndicate. They'll stop at nothing to get it." "No, you all need to listen to me," Mia cried. "What do I know? I'm just a girl trying to keep my family safe." The fear in her voice resonated in Lucas, a palpable reminder of their precarious situation. The masked figure, eyes darting about, regained his composure amid the chaos. "You have no idea how tangled this web is. The syndicate is everywhere. You think what you see is the truth? It's just a facade." Valeria sneered at Javier. "This is why we're going to end this right now." Suddenly, the heli above them roared, casting its spotlight into the crowd, illuminating the chaos. Lucas felt each beam of light pierce through the darkness, revealing the fear written across everyone's faces. But it sparked something in him, a determination. Choose your side, now. Javier backed away, confidence wavering as Valeria stepped up beside Lucas. We could strike a deal, Javier, or we could end this here. What do I have to offer? He spat, voice laced with venom. Your life, if that's all you have left, Valeria shot back, her voice steady. Lucas felt the world pivot. With adrenaline surging, he took Mia's hand. We have to leave, now. They're coming. And with that, they surged through the crowd, moving closer to the exit, darting past frightened faces, a final chance for escape. As they reached the edge of the market, Lucas felt a surge of hope, a light breaking through the darkness that clung to them. Behind him, he could hear explosions still rocking the ground. But right now, all that mattered was Mia's presence beside him, her heartbeat steady and true. Promise me you'll tell me everything when we're safe, she said, breathless but resolute, locking eyes with him. I promise, Lucas replied, squeezing her hand tighter. Together, they ran toward the horizon, where the first glimmers of dawn started to break, a symbol of hope, flickering against a night that almost consumed them. Yet, just as they made it to a quieter street, Lucas felt the weight of his father's shadow behind him. Lucas, I won't let you go through this alone. You already did, he shouted back, pain resonating in every word. But as the three of them, Lucas, Mia, and his father, stood on the brink of the new day, Lucas knew one thing: their story wasn't over yet. The twists and turns were still unfolding, but hopefully they would face whatever came next together. And with renewed resolve, they stepped into the unknown, united by the truth they'd fought hard to uncover, but with the echoes of their past ringing louder than ever. Now, before we close this chapter on a wild ride, you have to subscribe now to the channel. Don't miss out on the exclusive stories we have coming your way. Smash that like button right now. It feeds the algorithm and shows your support. And I need to hear from you. Flood the comment section with your thoughts, theories, and reactions about this ending. What do you think is next for Lucas, Mia, and the crew? This is the moment to show your support. And don't wait another second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know how this ends. Let's spread this story tea.